Hello dear friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now in today's lecture, we are going to learn about the valence bond theory. Before directly switch to the valence bond theory, we will first of all know how the valence bond theory is originated. Remember student, up to yet you have studied the different topics from this chapter. You have studied one important topic, that was the Lewis and the Cosel's approach to the chemical bonding, or it is also known as an electron theory of valency. Now there we have studied that the two atoms can gain the electrons, can share the electrons, or can lose the electrons, so that they can complete the octet. As a result, there is a development of attractive forces between these atoms, which leads to the formation of your molecule or compound or the ions. Now that attractive force is generally called as a chemical bond. So that was the first step to develop or to know about your valence bond theory. After the certain discoveries, the two important modern theories were developed. Out of that, your first one is your valence bond theory that we are going to learn in today's lecture, and the second one is your molecular orbital theory. These advanced theories to know the nature of your chemical bond depends upon two important factors. Now, which are the two important factors? Out of that, the first factor is the properties of the compound. That means molecules and the ions. Okay. Compound shows the different physical as well as the chemical property. We know that. Now, which are the physical property? Such as your odor, then solubility, then its state, melting point, boiling point of this compound. Okay. So, that was the physical property, and what are the chemical reactions which is shown by that compound. So, after considering the properties of this compound, we have find that this property arises because of the bond which is present in that compound. So that was the first factor which we have considered. And the second factor that we have considered is the wave mechanical approach to the atom, or it is also known as a quantum mechanical approach to the atom. Now why we are using the word quantum? Remember, quantum means it is the smallest part. Now, when we have studied the structure of the atoms, we have find that the electrons are present in the atoms. So, our study is related to the electrons. Electron is the subatomic particle of the atom. This is the smallest part of that atom one. And hence, we are giving the treatment to know about the valence bond theory to the electrons. We know that bond is formed between the electrons. Okay. Again, remember, after knowing the quantum mechanical approach, we find that the electrons are actually arranged in a specific shape with specific orientation, okay, which we call it as an atomic orbitals. Now, what is atomic orbital? These are nothing but the three-dimensional space in which there is a probability of finding the electrons. So that means what? The exact position of the electrons we cannot tell. Hence, we have given the atomic orbital term. It means what? There may be the probability of finding the electrons in that particular region. Now that term is your atomic orbital. So these are the two important factors which we have considered. First one is the properties of the compound, and the second we have given the quantum mechanical treatment to the atom. So on the basis of this one, we have developed the two important theories, that is the valence bond theory, and the second one is your molecular orbital theory. So we will start with the first theory, that is your valence bond theory. After knowing the origination of your valence bond theory, we will start with the valence bond theory. Valence bond theory was developed by your Hitler and London. It is based upon your wave mechanics. That means what? We are going to consider the atomic orbitals. Okay. Now this theory was further extended by your Pauling and the Slater. This valence bond theory depends upon a few important points or few important factors. Now, which are that factors? First one is the pairing of electron in your atomic orbitals. Lewis and Cosel's approach never considered the atomic orbital, but here we are going to consider the pairing of electrons in the atomic orbital. That means what? The electrons get paired in the atomic orbital, as I have shown for the formation of your H2 molecule. Here one atomic orbital overlap with another atomic orbital, and here the pairing of electron takes place, which leads to the formation of your covalent bond. Valence bond theory is related to your covalent bond formation. Second factor that we have to consider is the neutralization of spin of electron. Okay. Now, what is spin of electron? Electrons have the two types of a rotation. It may rotate in the clockwise manner or it may rotate in the anti-clockwise manner. Okay, if it rotate in the clockwise manner, now that is called as a positive spin, and if it rotate in the anti-clockwise manner, now that spin is called as a negative spin. So this rotation is very important. When the atomic orbital overlaps, if the atomic orbitals of the two atoms, they are having the same spin, if they rotate in the same direction, then the direction of a one electrons get changed. And here, as I have shown here, okay, here it is in the upward direction. This electron is in the upward direction in this atomic orbital, but here you can observe in the molecule these electrons is in the downward direction. Okay, as you can observe here one. So that means what? One spin is in the upward direction for a one electron, one spin is in the downward direction. That is called as a neutralization process. That means what? One electron revolve in the clockwise manner while other electron revolve in the anti-clockwise manner. Now that process is called as a neutralization spin of electron. Now third, the overlapping of this atomic orbital gives the common electron density region. Now here you can observe that these two atomic orbital, when they overlap, they create a one common electron density region between the two nuclei of your atoms one. So these are the two atoms. I have shown here the atomic orbital of a two atoms. At the center there is a nucleus of a two atom, and these overlapping atomic orbital have the common electron density region. So here in the third factor, we have to consider the atomic orbitals overlap. They overlap and produce the common electron density region. So valence bond theory considered these three important factors. Now let us consider the assumptions or the postulates of the valence bond theory. Here I am going to read each and every postulate. Now on your screen there will be the postulate. You have to just note down that postulate, and I am going to explain the each postulate on the basis of this examples also. Okay, so let us start. So the postulate number first, a covalent bond is formed when the half-filled valence atomic orbital of a one atom overlap with a half-filled valence atomic orbital of a another atom. So you can observe that here in the first example, formation of your H2 molecule. Electronic configuration of your hydrogen will be 1s1. So that means there is only one electron in the atomic orbital of hydrogen atom. So here this is your half-filled atomic orbital, or it is also called as a half-filled valence atomic orbital. Valence atomic orbital. As this electron is a valence electron, hence this is the half-filled valence atomic orbital. So they overlaps with each other, the covalent bond formation takes place. So that was our first postulate. Now second postulate, each overlapping half-filled valence atomic orbital of an atom must contain an unpaired electron with an opposite spin. The half-filled valence atomic orbital must contain an unpaired electron, that I have shown here. Okay, in both these atoms. Okay, these are your hydrogen atoms. They contain the unpaired electrons with the opposite spin. Now here you can observe that the spin is in the upward direction. It rotates in the clockwise manner. Now here the spin is in the downward direction. Now here we can going to consider this spin as an anti-clockwise direction. So each valence atomic orbital must contain the unpaired electron with the opposite spin. Then and then only the overlapping of atomic orbital will takes place, and which leads to the formation of your covalent bond. Third, the overlapping valence atomic orbital of an atom must have same or nearly same energies. Okay, now you already study about this one. In the electronic configuration, we write the energy level diagrams. Okay, for example, 1s atomic orbital have a lower energy than 2s atomic orbital. 2s atomic orbital have the lower energy than 2p atomic orbital. then 2p atomic orbital have the lower energy than 3s, and 3s have the lower energy than the 3p. Okay, so this is the energy level of the different atomic orbitals. Here you can observe that these overlapping atomic orbital. Okay, what is our postulate? Our postulate says that these overlapping atomic orbitals have same energy. That means 1s atomic orbital can overlap with 1s atomic orbital, as they have the same energy, or they have nearly same energy. That means what? This 1s atomic orbital can overlap with this 2s atomic orbital or 2p atomic orbital, as they have nearly same energy. But your 1s atomic orbital will never overlap with the 3s atomic orbital, as there is a large energy gap between these two atomic orbitals. So now let us consider the fourth postulate. The opposite spin of electrons get neutralized, and the electrons are paired up on overlapping of your half-filled valence atomic orbital containing unpaired electron during the covalent bond formation. That's it. Here again it is very simple. Overlapping valence atomic orbital have the opposite spin. The spin is already neutralized one, hence they can overlap with each other and they can form the covalent bond. Suppose there is a similar spin, then the spin of one electrons get reversed, and then obviously if this spin is in the upward direction, now it will become in downward direction, then this half-filled valence atomic orbital will overlap with each other and leads to the formation of your bond here. Now next postulate number 5. During the overlapping of these half-filled valence atomic orbital, the electron density increases, which result into decrease in the nuclear repulsion between the two nuclei of an atom, and during this overlapping the energy is released. Whenever these two half-filled atomic orbital overlap, electron density in the common region of these atomic orbital increases. As a result, we know that there is a repulsion between these nucleus and the nucleus of this other atom. Okay, for example, here I am considering the HF molecule. In the HF molecule, there will be the nucleus of your fluorine and nucleus of your hydrogen atom. We know that nucleus are positively charged, so the equal charges repel each other. But due to this common electron density region, as a result, these paired electron act as a wall here. They can act as a wall here. Okay, and hence the nuclear repulsion will decrease in the nuclei of a two overlapping atomic orbitals, or simply the nuclear repulsion between these two atomic orbital will get decreased. And remember, during this overlapping the energy is released. Energy releases. If the energy releases, obviously the stability will increase. As you know that when the energy get released, the stability increase. Energy is inversely proportional to stability. When energy is more, stability is less. When energy is less, stability is more. So during this overlapping, the energy release, and hence molecule become more stable. Now next postulate number 6. A bond is always formed at an equilibrium distance, that means at a specific bond length, when the overlapping valence atomic orbital attain a minimum potential energy and the maximum stability. As a result, the attractive force is developed between the two atoms. The overlapping between these two atomic orbital takes place. Okay. So obviously, if the overlapping of this atomic orbital takes place, it will take place at an equilibrium distance. That means at a specific distance. Where before this one, now let us consider the attractive and the repulsive forces between the two combining atoms here. Suppose I have shown these two atoms. You know that this is nothing but your atomic orbitals, or you can consider it as an orbit, and this is the nucleus of each atom. This is the nucleus. As you know that nucleus is positively charged one, they have the positive charge, and electrons have the negative charge. So the electrons of this atom will be attracted by the nucleus of this other atom, while the electron of this atom will be attracted by the nucleus of this atom. Okay, so this is the force of attraction which is developed during the formation of any chemical bond. Similarly, there will be the force of repulsion arose between the two combining atom. That is the first force of repulsion between the two nucleus of a two atom and the electrons of a two atom. Always remember, at the equilibrium distance, the force of repulsion and the force of attractions are exactly balanced. Now that is called as an equilibrium distance. So when the atomic orbital overlap with each other at the equilibrium distance, these force of attraction and the force of repulsions are balanced. That means what? They will attain a minimum potential energy state. If the minimum potential energy state, then the stability will be maximum. Potential energy is inversely proportional to stability. So if they attain this minimum potential energy state at an equilibrium distance, and there will be the bond formation takes place, and after the bond formation, the attractive force is developed between these two atoms. Postulate number 7. The strength of a covalent bond depends upon the extent of overlapping of a valence orbital. Greater the overlapping, stronger the bond is formed. However, the complete overlapping of a orbital does not take place due to the internuclear repulsion. Always remember, postulate number 7 is related to the strength of a covalent bond. We know that when these atomic orbital will overlap more with each other, okay, if the maximum overlapping takes place, then the strength of bond will be more. A complete overlapping will never take place. That means what? Now at this specific distance, the specific bond length, any bond is formed. If again I am compressing them one, okay, now obviously the bond length will decrease. As a result, the repulsion between these two nuclei will increase. So repulsive force will increase. If the repulsive force is increased, then the potential energy will increase. As a result, the stability become less. Hence, the complete overlapping of your valence atomic orbital will not take place. Now, let us consider postulate number 8. And if an atom possesses more than one unpaired electron, then it can form more than one bond. So, the number of bond formed is equal to the number of half-filled valence orbital containing electrons, that is equal to the number of unpaired electrons which is present in the atom. That here I have written the example of formation of your oxygen molecule, that is O2 formation. Okay, you can observe the electronic configuration of oxygen atom, that is 1s2, 2s2 and 2p4. So I have written the bifurcation of these 4 electron in your 2px atomic orbital, 2py atomic orbital and 2pz atomic orbitals. So here you can observe that each oxygen atom contain the 2 unpaired electrons. Okay, they have the 2 unpaired electron. If the atom possesses the 2 unpaired electron, then it can form the 2 bonds. Okay, so number of unpaired electron equals to the number of bond formed by that atom. That is your postulate number 8 says. So we know that these 2 unpaired electrons of each oxygen atom can overlap with each other and they can form the covalent bond. I have shown this diagrammatic representation. Atomic orbital of one oxygen atom and the atomic orbital of another oxygen atom will overlap with each other and they will form this O2 molecule. So let us consider this as a 2py atomic orbital. So the 2py atomic orbital of both oxygen atom overlap axially, head to head or on the axis, and they form this sigma bond. This is the type of your covalent bond. Remember, the covalent bond have the 2 types, sigma and the pi. And this is your 2pz atomic orbital. Okay, let us consider this is your 2pz atomic orbital. So the 2pz atomic orbital of each atom overlap laterally. They will overlap laterally and they will form the pi bond here. Okay, this is also the type of your covalent bond. What about your postulate number 8 says the number of unpaired electron is equals to the number of bond formed by that atom. Postulate number 9. During the formation of a bond, the s atomic orbital, which is spherical, can overlap in any direction. The p atomic orbital can overlap in x, y and z directions. Similarly, d and f atomic orbitals are oriented in a certain direction in a space and can overlap in this direction only. Thus, the covalent bond is directional in nature. Postulate number 9 is related to the directional nature of a covalent bond. Now here, your s atomic orbital is spherical in shape, so it can overlap in any direction. But if we consider this p atomic orbital, these p atomic orbitals are oriented themselves in a specific directions. Now which are the direction? That is your x, y and z coordinates. Let us consider this as an x, y, z coordinates. Okay, so this is nothing but your x, y, z coordinates. Let us consider this as an x, this as an y and this as an z. So x, y, z coordinates are oriented in the different directions one. Okay, so generally these your p atomic orbitals are oriented in your x, y and z direction, as you can observe here one. Okay, so obviously these atomic orbitals are directional in nature. They have this specific direction, so the overlapping can take place in the specific manner. For example, we have studied about the formation of your oxygen molecule. One oxygen atom overlap axially, that means it forms the sigma bond. Just imagine that these are nothing but the atomic orbital of your one oxygen atom. Similarly considered the same atomic orbitals here, the atomic orbital which can overlap axially head to head, then there will be the formation of your sigma bond text. So that we have shown here one. Okay, now suppose these atomic orbitals are oriented in such manner, this one and this one. Now they will not overlap axially, they cannot overlap axially, they will overlap laterally in such manner. So they can overlap in such manner one, and hence the overlapping takes place laterally between these two atomic orbitals and they will form the pi bond. So the atomic orbitals have a specific direction, they have the directional nature. This is your according to the assumption number 9 or the postulate number 9. This is about your postulates of your valence bond theory. So here we have considered actually the three examples, that is the formation of H2 molecule, okay, formation of your HF molecule and the formation of your O2 molecule. So here you can observe that these two atomic orbital containing unpaired electrons overlap and they form a covalent bond, and during this process the pairing of electron takes place. Now in the second molecule formation, that is your HF molecule formation, here the 1s atomic orbital of a hydrogen atom overlap with the 2pz atomic orbital of a fluorine and form the HF molecule. So here again remember just one important point, 1s atomic orbital and the 2pz atomic orbital have a nearly same energy, and which will lead to the formation of your HF molecule. Now in the next example, that is formation of your O2 molecule, here one oxygen atom overlap with the another oxygen atom and forms the O double bond O. Out of this, one is the sigma bond, other is the pi bond. Okay, so here the number of unpaired electron in the each oxygen atom is 2, therefore it can form the 2 bond according to the valence bond theory. Okay, in this particular example we have learned about the number of unpaired electron is equals to the number of bond formed by that atom. So this is whole about your valence bond theory. You have to learn the each postulate carefully, and then you will understand about the nature of a covalent bond in the molecule.